Hi everybody, welcome back to Infinity Bottle Evolution. I am your host EJ. We are here doing another episode about the infinite infinity bottle. A little background on this one. This is a infinity bottle we are made only of others' infinity bottles. Just launched this project last weekend or so. The idea here, I have a whole series going about my infinity bourbon bottle, and I traded a sample of my bourbon along with a friend of mine, and last time we met I sampled his infinity bottle and I merged an ounce of mine with an ounce of his. So this bottle that is now only 2 ounces full, we will be adding continuously to. We will only be adding infinity bottles into this mix. So the idea is the infinite infinity bottle. No rules to this one. It could be ryes, it can be whiskeys, it can be bourbons, it can be scotches, it can be anything under the sun. I'm considering making a few more infinity bottles in my personal cabinet. I might make a rye one. I'm considering making one that's got a bunch of stuff going on. And I might bring some tequila in, I might bring some vodka in. If I do eventually do that, I'm going to add a splash in here as well. So point being, we're actively looking for the ability to try people's infinity bottles. Number one, because we like trying unique things. Number two, we want to be able to share ours. So we're definitely very, very much pushing you to reach out if you have an infinity bottle, because I'd love to trade you a sample of infinity bottles. And then I'd love to take your infinity bottle and bring it here on camera with me and do exactly what I'm about to do. Now today, we have an addition coming in from the person who's been most influential in myself getting into bourbon. Good friend of mine, Ben. He and I were neighbors for years, started hanging out, started getting into finding we had some similar hobbies. As time progressed, Ben started, I always liked whiskey. I was very, very uneducated when it came to whiskey. I didn't know the first thing, between an Irish whiskey to a bourbon, to an American whiskey. I just knew whiskey. Ben began to develop my palate in bourbon. I mean, he was sampling things with me long before I had a palate, long before I understood. As time's progressed, I've gotten more and more into it, but I have to give a head nod to Ben. His knowledge, his ability to grab me bottles in Kentucky, his insight along the way has been influential and has really helped me develop a huge love for bourbon and huge palate for bourbon. So thank you. So anyways, after I started this infinity bourbon bottle project, my friend Ben decided to get himself a bottle going. So last night he came up. He and I actually did take a sip off of the bourbon bottle of mine, which I'm excited to talk more about that in the next episode about that. But he brought me a 2-ounce sample of his juice. So that way we can go ahead and do a tasting here with you folks today, but also add an ounce into this infinite infinity bottle. So let's start with that. Let's start with adding an ounce, and then we'll talk a little bit about the makeup of what Ben did here. Now, Ben didn't go an all-in approach with his bottle. My personal approach is anything that enters my house that is bourbon or American whiskey goes in my infinite bottle, my infinite bourbon bottle. Ben's approach with his was selective. He tried to reach for the things in his cabinet that he thought would complement each other and or things he really liked. I'm excited to see how his has developed. I did sample this with him a few weeks ago at his house. And when I sampled it a few weeks ago, I remember making a comment to him about it being a caramel salted peanut was extremely dominant. Now a couple weeks have passed. He hasn't added anything new in the mix. But what we have here, he did make a list. So this is Ben's bottle, version 1.0. What we have in the mix was he did 2 ounces of Knob Creek 9-year, 2 ounces of Stone Hammer. I sampled that recently with him. Very decent product. Affordable bottle of bourbon. 2 ounces of Old Bardstown. 2 ounces of Trader Joe's, which I have in my bottle as well. 2 ounces of Old Tub. 2 ounces of Buffalo Trace. 2 ounces of the Heaven Hill 6-year green label, one of Ben's favorites, now a discontinued product, but great bottle for the price point. 2 ounces of Makers, and I think that's Ben's personal bottle that has his name printed on it that he got through Makers years ago through the Ambassador program. And an ounce of Willet Pot Still, and he's using the Willet Pot Still bottle as his decanter for his Infinity bottle because it's a beautiful bottle. Let's face it, Pot Still is the bottle's probably the best thing about the bottle. The juices, I like Pot Still, but it's nothing to write home about at $50. I mean, I think it's a $30 bourbon, $35 bourbon, in a beautiful bottle that justifies $50 to have that bottle in your cabinet if you're into pretty bottles. Anyways, thank you, Ben. Now, last night he and I drank some Peerless, and he really liked the Peerless single barrel that I have. So I ended up giving him a couple ounces to take home, and he was going to add that in the mix of his bottle. So he will be onto a version 2.0 here. Version 1.0, really, on the nose, I don't get a whole lot. Ben, I'm pulling vanilla. Yeah, I get vanilla. I get a little bit of nuttiness, but not as much as I remember in the mouthfeel when I sampled this a couple weeks ago. Get a little bit of floralness. Almost like a floralness you would pick up off of like a Four Roses yellow label. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spice in the nose. All right, cheers. Oh yeah. Oh, that's great juice. I get, ooh, nice Kentucky hug. So initially, it's not an extremely full mouthfeel. It's a middle of tongue, tighter mouthfeel. Comes on right up front. Yeah, right up front. Get a lot of vanilla pop right in the front. Fills out, kind of triangles back on my tongue. And on the back side, I get, oh man, that's got some nice burn. I get a lot of that salted peanut that I was referring to. A little less caramelly than when I sampled it about 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in bourbon. Your palate is going to be affected, and in spirits in general, your palate is going to be affected by what you ate or drank last. So it very well could be an influence of a flavor that I was having last time that the caramel came out more. But today, definitely a really nice juice. It's really freaking nice. It's spicy. It's vanilla-y. It's a little velvety sort of consistency in the mouth. It gets that salted peanut kind of in the back of the tongue, and then it's got a beautiful warm. It's actually got a little bit more burn than I expected, and a little bit more of that trickle down and that hug feeling in the chest. But man, that is delicious juice. Keep it up. Once again, as always, guys, if you're watching, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Go ahead and hit the alert notification bell. Go ahead and like us. Go ahead and comment. And most importantly, if you're out there and you have an Infinity bottle, more important than anything else, reach out. We'd love to trade samples. We'd love to communicate with you. We'd love to know a little bit about your bottle. No bottle is too weird. I can't stress it enough. I had somebody comment last week that they thought they'd mess up this juice This is an experiment, guys. I want this to be weird. I want this to be out there. At this point, this is up to, it's 3 ounces, and it's up to 43 different spirits that are influencing it. It's extremely bourbon heavy at this point. Really want to add some diversity. Next time we get together, I will be adding something that is an infinite barrel product that's going to add some scotchiness to this. So I'm excited to do that. Saving that for next time. Don't want to overload it. Don't plan on sampling this for some time, guys. We're at about 3 ounces in the bottle now. I'd like it to get up towards at least the bend of the neck before I decide to even taste that. And when I do get to that point, I'm probably going to pour myself a half ounce, maybe even a quarter of an ounce. Like I'm going to ever so slightly nurse this baby, because I want this eventually to fill up, you know, to the volume that we see in a full 750 milliliter bottle. This is at about 24 ounces right now. I like to keep it at about 25. But yeah, this being at 3 ounces right now, it's a start. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with the start. We got been broken EJ juice here. And I'm super excited to have a base going and to see where it goes, and to continue to share this along the way and continue to involve more and more people in this channel. Like I said, subscribe down below. When we hit 100 subscribers, we will be doing a contest to give away a 2-ounce pour of the bourbon bottle. And as always, stay safe, drink responsibly, and cheers. Till next time.